Hi, this is Blake with Streamline Ag, and I'm here today with Soybean Seed, and we're going to be talking today about the next herbicide pass in soybeans. I got a soybean plant here, but before we kind of get into that and managing that, I want Eric to kind of go over the conditions we've seen this year, where we're sitting right now, and what we're looking at in the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, so depending on when you planted, it's possible you could have seen some emergence issues, or at least some delayed emergence with your soybeans. A lot of early planted beans this year in that April 20th to 23rd window, and we just didn't have the conditions for good growth. We had a lot of rain, cold temperatures, we saw some crusting, so that emergence was a little setback on the beans. We were fortunate to get some heat, get some rain, break up that crust. So we did see pretty decent stands for the most part on the beans.
Absolutely, and I'd say right now as a whole, I mean, our beans look pretty consistent across the top and in the area. Like I said, it's hot. We're a little dry. There's some areas that have caught some rain, some areas that have not. Biggest thing we're looking at here is in the next 10-ish days, 11, 12 days, we're gonna be looking at summer solstice. So that's typically when we're seeing our first flowers. So when we think about guys coming in that next herbicide pass, historically we're very close to flowering. So one thing we're a big promoter of is stress mitigation. We're pretty big into stimulating those nodes, stacking those nodes. So today we're going to talk about something that we used quite a bit last year, and it was a product called Sea Surge, and that is, it's seaweed extract, essentially is what it does, and the main thing we're seeing there is helping that plant get through that post-herbicide spray pass, that stress mitigation, but the cytokinins in that product actually help with cell division, stimulating flowering, stacking nodes, keeping that plant branching, and not so much so in vegetative growth, but more reproduction growth. And with that, we were putting in some foliar nutrition. You can go as cheap as this might cost you 0.6, 0.7 bushel to pay for this. So we threw in some sulfur or some boron and moly, and then sometimes we'd come back again at fungicide timing. The data we saw last year with a one-pass system was around 3.3 bushel, so a pretty solid ROI, and there's some visual differences that we saw as well, able to kind of close up that canopy and go on from there. Eric, you got anything to kind of add with that?
I think just one real important thing at this stage of the soybeans is closing that canopy, right? Yield, it's a sunlight game, how much of that can you harvest? And the faster we can close those rows, the more sunlight we're going to be harvesting. So any product you can put out there to stimulate branching, to stimulate growth, faster the canopy, that's going to be a good game in the end.
And absolutely, and another thing is, these leaves, like keeping that photosynthesis going in these plants. And the big thing is, guys, honestly, we look very good right now. There is money to invest in this crop. We catch some timely rains here. It's going to turn around, and frankly, for the little amount of rain we've got in some areas, we look extraordinary good. So I would say these are some things to think about that don't cost a lot of money that we historically see ROIs from, and this is just the next step, essentially. And then we reevaluate again when we get to that next step, that fungicide pass. But right now, the only thing I think we need to be thinking about is how do we stimulate flowers, stimulate branching, stacking nodes, stress mitigation, metabolizing that herbicide, especially in these hotter and dry conditions, to keep this plant looking good and to finish out strong. Thank you.